Okay, to pick up where we left off in our last video, we're now going to use this Argus cash flow report to create a simple DCF model that will allow us to get some unlevered return metrics using some dynamic assumptions we've entered into Excel, which is how most private equity and sophisticated brokers run a complete investment analysis. To start, you'll notice I've added some investment cash flows below the property level Argus outputs, which is where we'll show purchase and disposition to get to a total net cash flow. I've also added a new tab called Investment Summary, where we'll put in our investment variables and get our return metrics. To start filling out the investment summary, we're going to put in some basic property information and investment information. We're also going to set this up kind of like a template model. So in theory, if we wanted to make changes to the Argus file or use a different property, we could just copy a new Argus cash flow into this template and we could still use the discounted cash flow model. So for all the values that I'm getting that are shown as a dollar amount, I'm also going to show those as a price per square foot by dividing the amount by the total square footage of the property. There will also be several figures that I'm calculating as a percentage of another value. In this example, that will be the purchase closing cost and the sales cost. Exit date will be an EO month formula that will use our start date and the hold period. And the exit cap rate will be a blue font hard entered input. Forward NOI at exit is a big part of how we establish the value for the exit. This value is going to be a forward-looking 12 months of NOI that the next buyer will be stepping into when they buy the property. So we'll use an EO month formula to give us the date of the following year, and we'll use that date to find the NOI in the cash flows. Then the gross sale price will be calculated by dividing the exit cap by the forward-looking NOI. Sales cost will be a percentage of gross sale price, and then we'll subtract that to get our net sales price. Now we'll go complete the investment section of our cash flow tab. And the first thing we need to do is convert the dates coming out of Argus into an end of month format so that our Excel formulas can be used. We can automatically do this by using the EO month formula again. Now to fill out the purchase price cash flow, this cost is always going to happen at the beginning of our investment analysis, but we want to make sure to link it back to the input on the investment summary tab, and the value in the rest of the years can just be 0. Now for purchase closing costs, we want to link this directly to our input tab, but we only want this cost to appear when there's a value in the purchase price line. So we'll use an if statement and we'll say if the value in the purchase price line is not 0, then give us the negative value from our closing cost input, and we'll lock that in with F4, and if not, give us 0. Now to link our gross sales price, we are going to use another if statement, and we'll say if the date that we are in matches our sale date input, and we'll lock that with F4, then give us the gross sales price, and if not, give us 0. And finally, for sales costs, we are going to use the same formula we used up above for purchase closing costs. We'll say if the gross sales price line does not equal 0, then give us the negative value of our sales cost input. And again, we're going to lock that with F4. If not, give us 0. Now we have one last value to calculate on the investment summary tab. And in order to get our sales value, which is our forward-looking NOI divided by our exit cap, we want this to be dynamic to our hold period. So we'll need to use a formula. And we will use SUMIF. Then we will select our dates in the cash flow tab. Then we will select the forward-looking date that we calculated as our criteria. then we'll select our NOI row as the sum range. Perfect. Now we have a gross sales price value being calculated, and this is the value that's now flowing through to our cash flow tab. Now we need to calculate our net cash flow, including our investment cash flows that we just created. However, we only want to show a net cash flow during our investment period. So we'll use another if statement, and we'll say if the date in our current period is less than or equal to our sales date, then give us our cash flow available for distribution from Argus plus the sum of our investment cash flows, and if not, give us 0. And there we go. Now we have a fully working cash flow model that is dynamic to any of the inputs in blue font from our investment summary tab. Now, the last thing we need to do is to calculate two of the most commonly used investment metrics, which are IRR and equity multiple. To calculate IRR, we will use the XIRR formula and select our final net cash flow row for the values and our end of month dates that we created for the dates. For equity multiple, we use a 2-part sum if formula. So we're going to sum if the values in our net cash flow are greater than 0, close parentheses, divided by negative sum if the values in our net cash flow are less than 0, and close parentheses. Awesome. Now we have a fully complete DCF model using our Argus cash flows, which is now giving us return metrics based on our investment input assumptions like exit cap rate and purchase price. So I hope you found this helpful. I've made the completed version of this Excel file available for download in the description below. And for those of you that maybe want to take a deeper dive into Argus cash flow modeling with Excel, we will be releasing a full course which will take you through creating a fully complex Argus model and creating an institutional quality Excel model that works with Argus. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching.